Happy Thursday. This is one of the best days of the week because, as you know, I get to hang out with my buddy, Greg Nibler. Hello, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. Hello, Winnie. Yeah, it is so great to be here as always. Thanks to everybody who's joining in. It's always so much fun to have these conversations we get to have and talk about all the cool things that are going on. And yeah, it's a great day.
It's a great thing. Well, hello to all of you. If those of you who don't know us, I am Winnie's son. As you see, this is the one amazing Greg Nibler. You may have seen me on CNBC. I'm part of the CNBC Financial Advisor Council, longtime Forbes contributor, and a financial professional, and of course, the host of Level Up as well. And this is such a treat. And as you know, it's a new collaboration. We're still on one of our first few shows, Greg, but let's definitely give your intro because I think everyone wants to get to know who you are too.
Yeah, I'm Greg Nibler, so longtime tech reporter. I've worked in entertainment, podcasting, TV, you name it. And on this show, Winnie and I are coming together, and I'm going to talk about today some of the cool things that are going on in the future of technology, like the not so distant future. Some interesting things that could maybe make its way into your lives. So as a cool television, all kinds of stuff that's coming up. But we're going to do that, and kind of talk to you as we go through, so you can give us your answers, drop in questions, whatever you want to do, and go through it all. And I know Winnie always starts us off with what's going on in the world of finances, which is not my field of expertise, which is why I always love this segment, because I get to find out something that I probably should know, but I don't know. And Winnie, I know that you've got a lot for us.
Well, I'm going to try it, Greg. I'm definitely going to try. Let's start with that. And yeah, absolutely, Greg. You're absolutely right. So we are checking your comments. We see you coming in. So don't be shy. Let us know where you're joining us from. Let us know your thoughts on the things that we're talking about. And of course, if you have other things to share, we've had a lot of our audience give us actually new ideas and inspiration. So big hello to our friends, Vicky on Facebook. We see CrossX Fighter. We see Joshua on YouTube. We see so many of you, all different platforms. And we are currently, I think we streamed to about 12 different platforms. So we try to be where you are. Now let's start with the market. Let you know how the market closed. So today the Dow closed up 53 points, right? Kind of good. But unfortunately, the NASDAQ and the S&P all down. NASDAQ closed down 101 points and the S&P down 14 points. Now you might be wondering what's going on because as you know, last week we probably had a little bit better news. But this week, unfortunately, CNBC reported today that Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that she expects the U.S. economy to still have what she calls several more months of rapid inflation, which, as you can tell, is not a good thing, but more months. So more months, are we talking about like 6 months? We're talking 12 months, but it looks like inflation at least is going to be here to stay for a short period of time. And inflation isn't a small thing because as we saw earlier this week, inflation creeping up almost at 5%. So it's pretty tremendous. Now, she's also saying that this is probably going to be temporary and that ultimately that prices will start to fall back to normal. But she did express concern. One of the big concerns that she has is the impact on lower income home buyers, especially since pricing continues to go up, partly because interest rates are also at a record low as well, which is really interesting. This is kind of like, I guess, financial drama. I almost feel like we should have financial drama music, but think about this, because Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell today on the other side of the hill, he had his own meeting with the Senate today. And I heard that I've been reading some reports. People are saying the Senate was pretty grumpy today, but he had his own meeting and he was saying that temporarily they're going to keep monetary policies kind of where they are, meaning that, interest rates are probably going to stay pretty low right now. So on one hand, you got Janet Yellen worried about housing prices getting too expensive for lower income home buyers. And on the other hand, you got Jerome Powell on the central bank side saying, hold on, we're going to keep rates at current levels. So who knows what's going to happen, but temporarily, one thing we know for sure, there's going to be more uncertainty and more movement, more volatility in the financial markets. I think that's something we can expect and something that you should definitely plan on and plan ahead and make sure that your finances are in sound. And we're hearing more so this is one message I think you want to keep on your radar. And we're starting to hear a little bit more of that actually today. A lot of financial analysts are saying, yes, it's true. Things are starting to open back up. Things might be getting better, but one thing that we cannot predict the impact of course, is this Delta variant and how this will impact the financial markets as well. Now, But this is something, I mean, enough with that talk, right? It's probably, you're like, I thought this was a fun show. This is a fun show. And we're going to get Greg. I think, Greg, this is something you and I talked about last week, which I'm super excited to share today, which is on the 4-day work week.
Yeah. Yeah. Just the idea of this. And I would be absolutely all for it. A 4-day work week. I've always liked the idea of doing a 4-day work week. I mean, I don't practice it myself. And I suppose being, owning my own business, I could do that. I don't, but I do like the idea of a 4-day work week. I think that's something that probably a lot of people would embrace. And that's, again, we talked about it before. I am curious what people think too, if you'd be for it, or if you'd rather just, spread it out over 5 days, or if you go on based on a 40-hour work week, 4 10s or 5 8s. I'd do the 4 10s every time.
Yeah, I know. I love this. And in fact, after I read art, there's been a lot of articles coming in and it's been trending on social media the last couple of weeks. I've been really thinking about my own team, right? We have a team of 10. I'm thinking like, well, maybe this person can go Monday through Thursday, this person Tuesday, Friday, like literally trying to figure out how this would work. So here's the thing. Accenture, many of you know, very, very large company, research and financial company, recently did a study called the Future of Work Study. And this happened this year. They surveyed over 9,000 employees, and overwhelmingly 83% said that they preferred a hybrid work model. And there's so many things that come into place for this, right? Hybrid meaning you work from home some of the time, sometimes you go in the office, but everybody's saying that this is absolutely what they want. And they also find that 63% of high growth companies have already adopted this sort of productivity anywhere workplace model. Now, you probably heard there are some companies, because of the pandemic, I think Twitter was one of these, that said, you know what, we'll let you work from home indefinitely if you want to. But there's more than that. They're saying not only is this good for the employee, but this also enables leaders or owners or C-level executives to lead with humanity, putting the emphasis on not only being a good leader, but being a good steward and being someone who really cares about your employees. So they're saying that more than ever, employees are looking for places of work that has C-level leadership that puts their work-life balance and higher priority, which is really exciting. So that's kind of the first part. The next part, and Greg, we got to talk about, is these countries. Now, we heard about Iceland's recent study, and this was kind of cool, right? And you and I talked about this. Like, they actually have almost 85% of their workers in Iceland currently are on their way to a 4-day work week. Now, what's interesting to think about this is when you used to talk to a business owner, and you said, okay, like I know you were at Digital Trends, for a really long time. If you were to tell the owner of Digital Trends, or actually any company, right, like Adobe or Twitter, wherever, and says, we're going to take your employees to the 4-day work week, the first thing they would say was like, oh my goodness, how's that going to reduce productivity? Does that mean we're going to lose, 20% of productivity? Are we going to do less services, take care of less people? Well, what interesting that they found is they almost didn't lose any productivity from going 5 days to 4 days. And the employees weren't greatly impacted because they still got to keep their full paycheck from a 5-day paycheck, still got the same thing. So that was a good thing. But it's interesting because you might say, well, Iceland's really small and that's why they're doing it. But we're also seeing this trend now in Sweden, in Spain, and Japan. And here in the United States, a company by the name of Kickstarter, they're trying this too. You guys all know Kickstarter. I don't know, Greg, I feel like we should try this. Maybe we should try this at our own company.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think definitely with a bigger companies, somebody like a Kickstarter or somebody like that, who's got, I don't know how many people Kickstarter employs, but I'm sure it's hundreds at least, trying it out there to see how it would work. And you're right. Productivity is something that a company would have to worry about. But I think if you set it as spread out over those 5 days, certain people do it this day, kind of like what you were talking about, certain people other days, you maybe change it up, what that extra day off a week is, just to make sure that somebody's always there, working. I think that could definitely still keep it going, and people are just going to be happier. I mean, there's so many studies out there just about how, if somebody feels fulfilled and they've got time for their, external life and everything else that they do, they're that much more productive. I would think those studies would work out, that they'd balance out to where that would that would equal the same amount of productivity in the end. At least myself, I think that's how it would work. Obviously, I'm not Sundar Pichai. I don't know for Google, maybe they crunched the numbers, it didn't work out that way. But I know that's something that I think if you get these bigger companies trying it out, I feel like that will be kind of the trickle down. If it works for them, they'll start working for the smaller companies too.
Right. And the question is if it's still an 8-hour day or it's a longer day. And I see a lot of comments coming in on this subject. So I see on LinkedIn, in fact, I see Sadiq talking about Japan, but I think it's Putera. Thank you so much for joining us from LinkedIn and saying that Japan will be tough. I think it's deeply embedded within the country's culture. This is what I thought was so fascinating, because I believe Japan was the first one on the government level to challenge their country's companies to adopt or try the 4-day work week. And it's interesting that you made this example, because you're right. Typically, when we think about Japan, we don't think about like normal work. We're thinking like over and beyond, they're just known to be a very hardworking country. So for them to say, wow, this is a big deal. Vicky is saying she's very familiar with Kickstarter. Yes, absolutely. And Patera is saying like overtime work culture. So yeah, that's a good point. So does that mean if we segue to 4 days, then we become like, medical employees, where I know a lot of hospitals, they're working these 12-hour shifts. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But
that would be a difficult one. I mean, there's certain jobs that obviously you can't shut down for something like that. And I mean, I think that would be nice to have, for hospital staff to not have to work 12 straight hours on a shift. And I don't know what it is that would need to happen to modify that. But in general, and I think that's also interesting that you're mentioning Japan, because Japan's always the one that you go to. I mean, I know that US companies work a lot of hours and employees work a lot of hours, but Japan's like always the pinnacle in everybody's mind of, they're working 80 hours a week and never sleeping and always at the office. And it's just kind of that the idea that people have of that. So if they can do it too, then, I mean, if Japan can do it, then certainly the US can do it.
If Japan can do it, then we can do it.
Then anybody can do it. Yeah.
I feel like that should be our song, Greg. I don't know. But one thing, I went to social media to check out what people are saying about this. I think you're going to find this really interesting, because, you got to see if this is gaining traction here in the United States. Like, do we have hope? And we got to talk about, I think we got to get more people on this 4-day work week thing, because I think it's going to be better, not only for us, for the next generation, if we all adopt this, right? So let's see some of the shares that came on, because this was really entertaining. So look, it says Iceland has a 4-day work week. I'm on my way. And this person is sharing an airplane. Super funny. All right, let's see what else they've got. Okay, it says, honestly, a 4-day work week sounds amazing. Just getting to break it in half, so it's never more than 2 days from resting. I know. That's a great point. That actually made me think. I had to read that twice, because that makes a lot of sense. I like that. I like sleep. I feel like sleep is really an important thing. Channeling the Ariana Huffington, we've got you right now. Okay, let's see what else we got. It says, like, on the one hand, it would be tremendously good for everyone, psychologically, physically. We would be happier and healthier for it. On the other hand, there are like 8 really rich guys who are against it. Who are these 8 really rich guys that are against it? I feel like someone's got to send them an email and think, reconsider.
Yeah. All right. I feel like one of them is going to space pretty soon, but I digress.
The one that just came back from space, I feel like he'd be okay with it. I don't know. This one,
he seems like he'd be cool with it.
He seems like he'd be cool with it, right? So we need a 4-day work week and shorter work day. I can't do this for 40 more years. Oh, I hear you, Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I also think, in addition to the 4-day work week, we need to adopt like the siestas, like the Spanish and Italian style, where you take like a 2-hour lunch break, you relax, then you come back to the office. I think we need that as well.
You know what? Okay, I love this. Okay, for those of you who are watching or joining us, I see so many of you from different channels. How many of you agree with Greg? How many of you would want to take a siesta in the middle of the afternoon? I mean, you could catch up with your soap operas, I guess, even during that time. But think about that, like 4-day work week and then siesta. I feel like, Greg, that's like next level.
Right. I mean, that's clearly where we need to get to, I think. Although now that I'm saying that, I don't know how. I mean, I guess the math works out, or the statistics as far as people being productive after a 2-hour break. For myself, that may not, the more I think about this, that may not be good for me. because once I take 2 hours off, it may be hard to like fire it back up and get back into it. But I think it could be an option. I'm all for the options.
I think, I'm with you. I like options are good, but for me, probably I would want to be able to get off at 4 versus like taking a nap and getting off at 6 or 7. I don't know. I mean, that's one of
that too.
Yeah, that's one of the things you got to think about. The other thing that I actually, one of my friends on CNBC had shared the article about the 4-day work week. And I said, I think this is really amazing. I would hope that this would happen. But again, there's certain things that would have to happen. Like I would need the New York Stock Exchange to also adopt this 4-day work week. And then they would probably pretty much define my schedule and NASDAQ and everybody else. And I think there's certain industries that I think in all industries, people always said, well, in some industries it'll work and some it won't. I actually disagree. I think it would work in all industries. It's just depends on if you would want to make the effort to make it happen, right? Like, for example, like you would just find overlap, right? We would need to be able to have people to depend on for the day that we're not there. And in theory, why stop at 4 days? If you could achieve this, you could hypothetically go to 3 days, right? It's all about that sort of quality of life. And I think we've gone through this pandemic and more of us are emphasizing the things that we like and we don't like. I don't know, Greg, I'm so glad we're having this discussion. Like we're seeing Vicky is just like agreeing. She says we need to recharge the batteries. And Bateria says, but from what I've been told, the work hours are longer after the 2-hour break. Oh, Greg.
Okay. All right. I'll have to consult some Spanish friends on that one. That's true. So maybe that doesn't work out for everybody. The option could be good. But yeah, if you end up working longer, I mean, I think, going to a 3-day, I mean, that would be amazing too, but just go, sure. Let's just do that 1 day a week. That'd be nice.
Why stop at 4?
Keep on, take another one off. But yeah, for 4-day work week, I mean, I think that would be a pretty cool standard to adopt. And I do feel like that, at least that aspect is something that's achievable, for people to think about that, to have like 3-day weekend or 3 days every single week. I mean, that would be amazing. I'm just thinking of all the camping I could do or the traveling you could do in 3 days. I mean, it's just, it would, I think it would work really well for a lot of companies. I'm excited to see how it works out for some of these.
So let me ask you this, Greg, and those of you who are with us, I want to hear from you as well. If you were to work a 4-day work week, Greg, which day would you want additionally off then?
I'd probably want the Friday. I think Friday is the one I would want off.
I would want it off too. Then who would work on Fridays? Nobody's working on Fridays.
Yeah. I mean, then you can beat everybody if you're getting out of town. You can beat them out of town. You can get places, before everybody. But of course, then if everybody's doing it, then I guess that kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, because I see Vicky wants Friday off too. I guess I would have to take Monday off. I'll be flexible.
Yeah, you have to go opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can take Friday, I'll take Monday. Our show will still be on Thursday, and you'll still kick us off before the weekend because, you got to have that good vibe. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I know. We got to keep talking about this. But tell me this then, Greg, obviously, if we're going to be working and changing, there's certain things that would be great to be like replaced with technology, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean,
to look forward to.
Well, and this is what I was kind of taking a look at. We're talking about, the future of work, if the future is going to be 4 days or all that. And there's a lot of studies that came out this week just about different kinds of future technologies, because you have a lot of research institutes that are working on these kinds of things, like MIT and major Harvard, a bunch of different places. And I want to kind of pick a couple of these to talk about just as an idea of tech that you could be getting in the near future. And the first one's from San Diego. University of California at San Diego. And it has to do with powering your items. Like this is something that we all have to deal with, right? Your phone runs out of power. Your smartwatch runs out of power. It's always a pain. You always have to charge it. Well, this is an idea of maybe a way you could keep it charged at all times using your own body to charge it. So what they've done is they came up with this little chip. It kind of looks like a Band-Aid that you put on, and it goes on your finger. So your finger perspires a lot, like a lot more than you even realize. Yeah, I didn't know this either till I read about this study. It does all the time, but it just evaporates so that you don't really notice it as much. I mean, unless you're a sweaty person like me, but a normal person, you don't really notice it that much. So this works by actually taking that sweat and converting it into energy. So
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's this crazy way that they've come up to do it. I mean, it's highly scientific, which I can't give you the exact way that the chemical reaction works, but it works with a chemical reaction. So it takes that sweat, uses what's coming out from that, and then is able to convert that into electricity and store it in like this tiny capacitor right there. So then it's able to use that, and then it can actually charge your devices. Another way that it works too is just by generally typing and like clicking on a mouse, as they were showing there, just everyday movements that you do, that also provides it more charge. And it's a tiny amount each time, but it adds up over 24 hours. So they said that if you were to use this and like have it on your fingertip for say, 8 to 10 hours of sleep or 8 to 10 hours of rest, that generated enough energy, and I want to get the terms right, 400 millijoules of energy, which they say is enough to power a smartwatch for 24 hours. So that's enough energy for 24 hours just by having it on your finger like that. And I think, there's 4 of them, but I mean, I think that's pretty amazing way to come up with some energy.
What? Okay. So now I'm thinking, so now I'm thinking we're going to be walking around with little metal stickers on our fingers going around, and who's going to stop at fingers? And it'll be like all gloves and our shoes and everything else.
Full body suit. Yeah.
That's a little gnarly. I don't even know.
How do you feel about it? Yeah. Would you wear it?
Well, if they made it stylish, Greg, no, I'm kidding. I mean, I guess it really depends. But when you talk about, that much, first off, I don't know. I mean, like you said, maybe some people sweat more than others. I'm the type of person where, I had clear when I go travel, and I'm the kind of person where they have trouble like picking up my fingerprints. Probably, I don't know why, So would people have different levels? So then all of a sudden, those of you who sweat a lot, now you're actually more valuable because you're creating more electricity. They're like, I don't hang out with the sweaty person because then I'll stick my phone on you.
Dream come true. Finally, there's a use for how much I sweat. But yeah, I mean, that's true. I didn't even think about that. If it, more can produce more power, makes you a more valuable employee. But
so if you're on a dating app, you say, I produce this.
I'll charge your phone while we're on the date. Yeah.
Vicky sees where I'm going on this. It's like a little crazy. But all ions from sweat likely put cherry. It's good to have someone scientific in the group. I don't know. This is Greg. I don't even know how you find this stuff, but this is why it's so entertaining. I look forward to this show every week just to learn this stuff. So now I'm thinking like we're basically walking, talking solar. We don't even see the sun because you can sweat without sun now.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Just converting energy. And this is one example too. There's other companies and research institutes that are working on things like this. There's also just the idea of producing electricity from your clothing. There's a lot of people that are working on that. I think I even talked about one a couple of weeks ago, but just, and incorporating in different kind of electronics into your clothes. So just your movement generates energy. I think I missed whatever the comment was that came through there. But
Tara said most valuable sweater.
I would be in the running. I would definitely be in the running for this. So you don't know how much I have to
go on sale at Nordstrom.
This room down before. I'm all for it now. I'm definitely for that.
Now I'm picturing you, Greg, in the forest. When you're camping, I'm picturing you in your tent with like this fancy gadget hat that has metal stuff and like all these gloves and everything with metal.
Just to make myself sweat more.
Doesn't that matter if it's a hurricane or an earthquake? I could charge myself good.
Everybody will be coming to me, when the power goes out.
Yeah. The next thing you will know, like you'll be able to create your own water, grow vegetables.
Okay. This is why I love science. It's making it valuable finally after all these years.
Okay, Sarah wants to know the company name.
So it's from the University of California at San Diego. So this is a study that they're doing. Yeah, UCSD. So they got that video out as well. So you can look that up and take a look at it. And they go much more in depth.
Retainer. Did you see that? They put one in it looks like an Invisalign. Like,
oh yeah, in a retainer. That's an interesting way to do it too.
Wait, hold on, look at that.
That is a retainer.
That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, you never know what it could be used for. It's definitely fascinating. So that's their study. that they came out with. Now, we've got another one here. I've got another couple that I wanted to talk about. And this is another study. This one goes over to MIT. So they've got C-Sail, which really does a lot with robotics. They're always coming out with super cool stuff that's very high tech. And this one, though, has to do with actually a robotic arm, but it's meant to help people with disabilities who maybe have trouble putting on clothes. Now, that seems like kind of a strange thing to come up with, but there's a bunch of actual science and tech behind this. So as they're demonstrating right here, it's helping this woman put a jacket on, which if you have mobility issues, that could be a huge issue every day. Mm-hmm. And now another person would know exactly how much pressure to put, when to stop, and can pretty easily help you do that. But if there's not another person around, they're training this robot to do it with a really specific algorithm to teach it to actually still apply pressure when normally a robot, if it's interacting with a human, if there's any kind of pressure, it's trained or it's programmed to stop immediately. This is saying, no, you can still do it, but just do it lightly and help this person out. And then it learns as it goes. So eventually, if you had one of these, it would learn everything about how you put your jacket on, and that's just the example they're using, and would slowly get better and better and better to where this would just be like kind of a no-brainer. You walk by, it throws your jacket on for you, you walk on past. But I think the tech behind it is what's really interesting to me, and just how it's learning constantly. And that's where it would be going.
Well, you're excited about the tech. I'm loving this for humanity purposes because, know, as someone, I have a niece and nephew with special needs, and I know like my parents are getting older now and they're having health issues. And I think, this is an area that I think we need to focus more energy on because a lot of people with disabilities do feel like, it's hard to get people to come in and take care of them 24/7 because they get burnt out. It's obviously, it's a very hard industry to be in. But if more robotics could take over some of those day-to-day abilities, I think everybody would benefit. So this is exciting. I'm just hoping some of these things become more widely used and more cost effective. We've already seen a lot of advancements in different, more simpler areas, but this is cool, Greg. Really, really excited to see this.
Yeah, I mean, and you're absolutely right. And there's going to be a shortage of people to work in this industry. There already are for people to come to somebody's house and help out. So this is a way that they're looking at it. If we can use this robotics and train AI to maybe help mitigate some of those issues and have this more widely available. The cost-effective side, certainly that's got to be worked out too. But I think the further the research goes, the more this becomes actually a product that can be marketable. I think then you'll see the price go down. And this one's doesn't have a price on it quite yet. We do have another one though that is more along the lines of an actual all-around helper. And this is something coming from Samsung. So this is actually a commercial product. Ooh. And it came out earlier this year. And it's called the Bot Handy. And what it does is it's kind of that. It rolls around. It's got like a little face on there. This is the demonstration they had. And it's got this arm, but it can do all kinds of things, including, as they're demonstrating, in theory, load your dishwasher for you, do your dishes. It can run, you can train it again, based on their demonstration.
It grows too.
Yeah, it grows. It can go up. It knows exactly.
It pours wine.
Pouring the wine thing was the kicker for me. I'm like, all right, yeah, I definitely want one of these guys around. Yeah, it can do all that and know how to, grab a glass of wine and not smash it, in its robot arms. It can do all those kind of dexterous things. And this is something that they're also looking at for that, not only, for people who don't have disabilities, but certainly also along the lines of that, somebody who has disabilities, just somebody who just needs some help around. This could be that kind of solution. And that it just seems like we're getting closer and closer to the Jetsons, butler. But this is along those lines. I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's really cool, Greg. Do we have an idea? Like you said, it's a commercial product. So do we have an idea when this would come along? Because I can see this being really hopeful, right? Especially for people like you have. I think when you get older or even younger, but you got injured, like that mobility of putting things up and down, and maybe it could even put your clothes away or do laundry. I mean, this seems like it could handle some simpler tasks.
It could do a lot, and we don't have a price on it or exact availability yet for when it's going to come out. It was a demo product that they had at CES in January, where a lot of companies will showcase this, but there's been a lot of positive feedback about that. And I could certainly see this I would imagine this will be a product, maybe not in exactly that iteration, but sooner than later, this is going to be out. And it's going to be something that you can use in commercial aspects. They're already using these kinds of robots, and this one in particular, for all kinds of things. So it's only a matter of time before this becomes, comes into the house. But yeah, pretty cool.
You know what I would add to it if I could? I mean, if I will, if Samsung, if you're listening, this is what I would add to it. I would add that ability to blue light, to send out blue light rays, because imagine you've left the house, right? And someone's helping you load, the robot's helping you load the dishes and whatnot, get that all ready. Well, why not sanitize the house and go to different rooms and do that? So by the time you get back, because, thanks to our episode that we did not too long ago about what to stream, I actually watched Grey's Anatomy last night, Greg, because it came back to Netflix, as we know. And so, that was one of the things that they did. I think this would be cool. Like we could build on top of these, like using this technology and then adding more things to make our life that much easier. It's amazing because, you think about this. You think how far we've come in the last 10 years. And I know you've talked a lot about smart technology, but even this morning, my son had an online class and I had a meeting and whatnot. Now, typically, a 9-year-old isn't so great. I remember exactly what time to log in the computer, but literally we had Alexa was ready. Alexa let him know it's time to get ready and sit down and whatnot. And I was just like, it took me a minute. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Because before I would have to remember, and now, the robot has taken over. It's a small thing, but it's a big thing.
And it does. And it adds up, and just like that, just like you mentioned, like that little thing, that's going to help your kid beat time for class. And we could actually do an episode sometime about robotics that are designed specifically for children, because there's a whole line of them out there for helping them learn or stay on task. And there's a big industry for that. That might be a good segment to do sometime. I can kind of compile some of those and talk about those. But the robotics industry is just going to blow up here. There's just so much potential in that. So that's the one from Samsung, and they've got some other ones that they're working on as well. There's just all kinds of cool stuff in there. The other, go ahead.
I was going to say, for those of you who are watching Greg right now, if there's other areas that you would love him to feature, like he said, he's going to come up with some tech for kids, maybe some tech for, for our older parents, right? Homebound or our seniors, some of the technology that's coming along for them. I think that's really interesting. I know Best Buy was kind of touching on that, but anything else that you would have an interest on, this is a great chance for you to jump in, and definitely we'll share with Greg too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to put something together on whatever people are interested in. It's just, I find it all very, very fascinating and interesting. So I would love to help share that with anybody. So we can work up whatever you want and talk about that. A couple other things that I did have. So these are just some other things that were coming out this week, and we're talking about future technology. This is something you can actually get. So going away from the robotics, talking about televisions, there is this television from LG. It's the LG OLED R, which is a rollable television, something that's been talked about for, I swear, over a decade. We've been talking about this, about getting an actual TV that can roll up. So the actual screen will roll. This is that product. It comes in that box. As you can see, it kind of rolls up from the bottom, and you can put it at different levels depending on how you want to watch and what kind of frame you want. And so that's what they're showcasing, and it's finally coming to market here in the US. It's a pretty cool product. It's 65 inches, 4K TV, which doesn't really stand out necessarily anymore. There's a lot of those. It's OLED, which is a very high-end screen, so the picture is going to be really good. The one thing for this, though, is the price. So it is available right now, and it's going to be available in the US, and this is the first time it's coming to this market. But the price is $100,000. So it's just a little bit of a budgeting to get to that. But that's where we're at with that right now. Okay, so let's get this straight, Greg. Yeah. So you can have a 65-inch TV that's stuck on the wall for a couple $1,000. Yeah,
for
a really good like one for a couple
OLED, right? For a couple thousand. Or you can have one that comes out of a cabinet for a measly $100,000. Okay,
$100,000.
Your financial friend right now is giving that a thumbs down. But I am curious. Okay, let's not talk about the price right now. But curious about this, Greg, because obviously it kind of looked like those like David Copperfield things going on. What is this made out of? Is it like fabric? Like, how does it roll into that cabinet? Because the cabinet, it looks like it's empty on the bottom. Okay, that looked like a magic trick. Like, how did that happen?
So it is actually an OLED screen, and made in the right way, you can actually fold it and roll it up, and it won't break or crack or anything like that. And it's kind of what a lot of people have been working towards, is this idea of having a screen that you can really mold to whatever you want. And LG's the first one with something like this to market. I'm sure everybody else is working on it as well, but they're the first ones to get it out, which is also why it's $100,000. It's a ridiculous price, but it's the idea of where this can go. Because as with any kind of new technology, it's going to start out, the newest stuff's always going to be really expensive. And then they'll build more and more and more and more, and then the price will go down.
This is super cool though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool looking. I mean, I went to see it, which I do believe we will get there to this point where you can actually take a television and roll it up like a poster and then put it on a wall. There's been experiments with that and some different kind of showcases of the idea of that technology. And I think that's where we're heading. Like, eventually that's what we're going to get. But with this kind of tech too, the idea that you could roll it. I mean, think about having something on your wrist that's just completely wrapped around. So if you kind of extrapolate from there, there's all kinds of things you could do with a rollable screen. And
I feel like you're going to go camping with it, Greg. I feel like you're going to sit up in the tent, and then you're going to unroll your TV and stick it on your tent.
Stick it on the tent wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff you could do with something like that. So this is, that's why seeing this is an interesting demonstration of where it could go. Now, if you're out there and you're going to buy the $100,000 one, let me know. We'll fly over and watch a movie with you. But but yeah, it's an elite market that's going to be going for this one.
Well, I feel like Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos have one on their space shuttle. So
right,
maybe if you fly with them, you pay did you see this week at Jeff Bezos? I guess the guy who won, I guess he spent $28 million, right, to bid to go on, and I guess he has some sort of engagement next week that doesn't work with his schedule.
What kind of engagement do you have to not go to space? You spent $28 million on?
I'll do your thing instead of going to space.
Yeah. Got a dinner party. Sorry, it's just not going to work out.
Yeah, it's not going to work out. It's just, I have a phone call. It was really important, teacher parent conference. And so I can't go to space. I was like, really? And then I guess the second place who bid, he is also busy. So he's sending his 18-year-old son, who is a physics student, who's going to go to space. So he's going to be the youngest astronaut now.
Wow. Well, good for that kid. I mean, if he has to back out, I will volunteer. That's just
get adopted from his family, huh?
Yeah, I'm happy to take his place if he has an exam or something and he can't make it. But
well, he's I don't think he's going to book himself. But really, right? If you spend $28 million, you're going to go to space, and you now have an event that you can't get yourself. Yeah,
what is the event?
Switch out he's coming over to switch out the garage door, so I have to be here to make sure.
They said they'd be there between 10 and 6. I got to be there.
I can't go to space that day. I'll go on a future trip. Don't keep me on the list.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's a story I want to hear whenever that comes out.
Exactly. I love that. Well, okay. So, you know what? Let me just say that Joshua CrossX Fighter says there's an OLED Nintendo Switch. That's right, because Greg just showed that with us last week, and now this TV, which is really cool because I am very curious. Like, the financial person in me is like curious, like, what is this made out of it? Is it gonna feel like silicone when you roll it in? It's not, obviously it's not fabric. And then like the 100,000, like how much were the actual hard costs of making this versus like the sticker price of 100,000? Is that price negotiable and all that good stuff? But really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I think not this year, obviously, but in coming years, we're going to see more and more products that are like that and see that tech incorporated into different things. So it'll be pretty cool to see where they go with it and just kind of thinking of the possibilities of something that's malleable that you can roll around and it's still a screen. So that's pretty cool. But it's interesting you mentioned the Nintendo Switch, the OLED Switch, because that is actually going on sale. I believe it's today is the pre-sale for that. but we got another announcement about another video game console, a handheld version. And this one has to do with PC gaming. So it's a pretty big deal in the world of PC gaming that this came out. So it's from Steam. And this is something they just announced today. So it's the Valve, their Valve handheld PC.
Looks like a Switch.
What's that?
It looks a lot like the Switch.
It does look a lot like a Switch. Yeah, it's called the Valve Steam Deck. And I want to get the name right. So it's Valve Steam Deck. It does look very similar to the Switch. Clearly, they took a lot of design cues from that. But what this can do is if you're subscribed to Steam and if you're a PC gamer, you know what Steam is. Basically, it's a service where you buy games off of and you play it through their servers. So Steam is very huge in the world of PC gaming. Now this lets you take your PC gaming on the go. So it's why it's a pretty big deal. It's this custom thing they built. They said they partnered with AMD. So it's got a custom APU. I can go into all the tech side of things, but basically it's got a lot of custom stuff on it and you can play your PC games wherever you want to go. So I think for that crowd, it is going to be a really popular device if it delivers on everything that it promises, which it said you can play like the highest end games, that everything's going to work fine on it. It's got several hours of battery life, I believe. And this just came out today, so I don't even have it all memorized yet. Several hours of battery life, 7-inch touchscreen. So all kinds of really cool stuff that comes along with it. And I think for anybody watching, I don't know if we have PC gamers watching, I'm always curious to know their opinion on this, if this is something they're excited for, or if they're already like, yeah, it's not going to work right.
My kids would go bananas for this thing because there are certain games that like they have their Switch, but there's certain games that are more fun to play on PC, right?
Yep.
And so like from my standpoint, I see that they come in different sizes of memory. I'm wondering if it takes external memory. I see it's USB-C, charging, which is cool. I'm wondering if you can put, an external Bluetooth devices on stereo, headset, that type of stuff. And if there's HDMI connection that you can connect it to a TV. So if you're traveling, I think for a gamer, then this makes it so they don't have to drag their laptop or computer and they can still do their thing, right?
Yeah. And those are all great questions. I have answers for some of those. It has Bluetooth. It has Wi-Fi. There's also a dock you can buy, a separate dock that you can buy so you can HDMI it into a television or whatever else you want to put it in. It's got built-in mics. It's got USB-C for charging or connecting to some other peripherals, so you can connect it also via USB-C. Several hours, for gameplay between charges. So it's got a lot of that stuff actually that you just mentioned. It's specifically to make it so this would be a portable system. I want to know, playing a PC game that just requires, because usually for PC gaming you need a really good system, to run that. It's
there's a video card.
Yeah, good video. Exactly. Good video card. You know what you're talking about with this. Yeah, good video card. Good, you need a good, robust system, and PC gamers, that's what they cherish. So can this hold up, and will you get, you're not going to get the same playing experience, I'm sure, but can it be similar enough to where it's tolerable, I guess, to go and play it on this.
This is super interesting, Greg, for me, because I'm thinking like, how there was always that talk of, well, would the iPad now replace the typical laptop? And so you're starting to see that shift where, you had the traditional PC laptop and then you had the tablet, right? And then now this one's specifically designed for gaming. And Vicky was saying it's like a PC in your hand. Sadiqa's saying 7 inches is too small and probably screen's too small. But then I guess that the question would be like, once they make this a gaming device and they find it's viable, what other things can they do, right? Things are just going to get smaller and more portable, and to still beef up all that speed in that. And who knows? And then back in the future, you might be able to recharge with your thumbs, right, Greg?
Right. Yeah. The full body suit. You'll never run out of power.
That fancy sweater, I think Patera was talking about earlier.
Right. Yeah. It's all going to work together. It's all going to be one big system. And then you'll have your robot butler to, feed you pizza while you're playing. So it'll be all perfect, and pour you a bottle of wine.
and then that would be, see, now you're just getting really excited to talk about this. This is how we can pull out the 4-day work week, right? Your robot will work your 5th day for you, and then prep your food, make sure it's hot and everything else. And, you just do your thing. You just focus on the things that the robot cannot do, in fact.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah. And just don't let the robot learn the things that that you do. So make sure take away your
Vicky
job.
is saying yes, Greg, pizza and wine. Vicky is on this. She's got this in mind already.
Excellent. Yep, we agree. We'll take a siesta and have some pizza and wine. The price, I wanted to get that too. So that one goes on sale tomorrow, which is July 16th for depending on when people are watching, and it's going to be $399. So similarly priced there to the Nintendo Switch. I believe that's also $399. So they're going exactly at it. They knew what they were doing by releasing it today, the day the Switch goes on sale.
Of course.
So the pre-sale for this is tomorrow. Delivery is going to be around December. So if anybody's thinking about this for maybe a, Christmas time present, you could order it now and have it delivered sometime around there. So they said December, not an exact date yet, but December at some time is when it'll be out. So
strategic, of course. The item's not ready for delivery, but we'll take your money right now. Since you're looking at the Switch, we want to give you a second option before you hit I will buy that Nintendo Switch and buy all those games to get you on that. We want to try and commit you now, and then we'll ship it in December. Good job. Good job. Financial decision right there. But Tara is saying he or she is a fan of something else, and I'm not sure what this is.
Stadia. So this is Google's basically cloud gaming from Google. So Stadia is something they came out with. It was last year. I could have the date wrong, but it was last year at some point they came out with Stadia, and it's Google's push into the idea of cloud gaming. That's a whole other market that everybody's trying to crack as well. Is to be able to stream an extremely high quality game online, which has been an issue. It's kind of it's the white whale of what everybody wants to do. And to be able to do that, because then you just need hardly any hardware. You just need a controller, and then whatever device you're playing on, whether it's a laptop or your television or whatever. And so Google Stadia has been out for a while. It's had mixed reviews as far as what you can do on it. And I know for a lot of people, the 4K gaming is not quite what it should be. And it also eats up a lot of data. So if you're on any kind of a cap, you're going to be in trouble there. But yeah, this is that's what Stadia is doing right now, and I'd be curious to know whoever said that, what their opinion is on
Patera,
it too.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your Patera. Have you tried it? And if you have, what's your impression of Stadia? This is new to me, so thank you, Greg, for sharing that. Yeah, and it'll be really interesting. The world of gaming is so interesting. It's like all those things add up: $14.99, $20, $30, and then you add more, and then this is. Yeah, and if you think about it, it's just like printing money. It's just like, software companies. You make it, create it, and
Yep. And gaming is not going to get smaller. That's one other thing today too. I didn't even put this into our list because that Netflix announced they're going to have games that are going to be showing up as well. Just on your regular Netflix account, there's going to be a gaming section of video games that you can play. That's coming at some point.
That's what Vicky said. Vicky says Netflix are rolling out games too. It's interesting I see that, because I don't know if you've checked out, but Apple did the same thing with Apple Arcade, and it works really well. I mean, you can use it on your Apple TV device, and then you sign up for a monthly subscription, and then you can play all these games without ads. I think this is sort of really smart. Just another income stream, right? I mean, software is written. Again, more printing money, Greg.
Yeah. The big competition.
Why didn't we think of that?
I know, right? Gaming, dang it. I mean, that's why you see the big competition too, with all of these companies trying to buy up production studios that make games, because they want to get the rights to whatever it's a really good studio that's making really good games, and lock them up so they're only on theirs. It's basically, like television shows and streaming networks. They lock them up so you have to subscribe to this one if you want to get this game. And it's a huge thing that's just going to be, getting bigger and bigger, obviously.
Yeah, we need that little escape from reality, right? It's getting harder to go to movie theaters, so people are enjoying gaming, and that's why all these devices are going out. So, Sadiq is saying Blizzard was a small company, became huge. Blizzard's actually in my backyard, Sadiq, in Orange County here in Southern California. Yeah, I have several clients that work there, so that's I mean, there's just it's crazy. You get a couple of good games out, and Blizzard certainly has made a lot of very good games. But yeah, it's just kind of nuts where it's all going. Seeing how they're going to do it. I'm curious to see Netflix though. I will definitely be trying that out. I don't know if they're going to have you get a separate controller or use a
PlayStation or an Xbox controller. I don't know how that interface is going to work.
I would
yet.
guess so. I would guess
You
they
would
would give
think,
Xbox
yeah.
or PlayStation. That would make sense, right? Because that
Right.
technology is already there. And then sort of piggybacking, because you kind of want to get to speed quickly because Apple's doing it already, right?
Yeah.
And Apple's got, if those of you who have checked out Apple Arcade, actually has some really good games on there, believe it or not, like Sasquatch, really entertaining games. It's really interesting to see this transition. And as they develop in every segment, like every big company, right, does something really well, and they start to add all these different income streams. And that's a great way to manage your own, your own productivity, your own business, and your own income and your own wealth too. Yeah, that's Apple Arcade. Sasquatch. Great
Sasquatch.
Game.
All right.
Sasquatch. Yeah. Super. I probably butchered it, but it's really, really good game. Yeah.
I like the name already.
Yeah.
But
and Cross Spider is saying curious about Netflix games too.
About next week's, I'm sorry. Oh, that Netflix games? Yeah.
Netflix games as well.
Sorry, when I'm looking down, just so everybody knows, as I'm looking at the comments. But yeah, that's it's going to be really interesting to see what they have on there. And see how that all works out. So I don't know. I don't think there's a date on when that's going to be out. I think they have their earnings report coming up pretty soon, so maybe we'll find out a little bit more about it then. But yeah, pretty cool.
But I'm sure you'll let us know, Greg.
I will definitely let you know.
I will tell you, tech is an area that I don't have to focus on as much anymore because I've got you, and I get to come in every Thursday and listen to you talk about this. And let me tell you, I'm always so excited because think about all these things. I can't wait to get one of those Samsung robots and a rolling TV. Now you're ththinking, if this TV is waterproof, you could think about the things that you could do with it. You could do yoga by the beach, right? If you had your instructor.
You could roll it up. Yeah.
Oh, how cool that'd be. What if you could also do yoga on your TV? That would be.
I mean, roll it out and do yoga on it. I mean, I'm sure there will be a day that's something. Samsung probably has an OLED yoga TV that they're working on. I wouldn't be surprised.
We'll be your test subjects, Greg and I.
Yeah.
We'll two different perspectives.
Well, and I do want to remind everybody too, just what we said earlier, if there's a certain tech topic or a segment or something you'd be interested in learning about, or would like me to do a segment on and just kind of give you some information, some basic information to go off of, I'd be more than happy to do that. So get a hold of us anytime. You can shoot me a message on Twitter or email, however you want to get a hold of us, comments, and we'd be happy to do that. So, or any questions that you have about anything. If I don't know the answer, I can point you in the right direction. So that's right. I'm not going to say I know all that. I don't know all of it, but I know where to go. So
he knows where to go, and he knows a lot of really important people in the tech industry. And that's why we're so grateful that Greg always brings us the cutting edge information, sometimes stuff that you don't even see online yet. So it's really, really exciting. So we are so grateful that all of you are here, and so grateful that Greg is here. But as Greg said, our direct messages are open. We love to hear from you. And most importantly, we see when you share the show and you comment, and can't tell you how much it means to us. It means so much to us, especially since this is really a project of friends that we're excited to come together and do this collaboration. And hopefully we bring a little light, a little knowledge, and a little excitement to your week. And with that, I don't know, Greg, I'll let you close up because that was so much fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And Winnie, as always, thank you so much. I mean, this is, like Winnie said, it's so much fun for us to do this show. And I know I'm saying fun a lot, but it's a lot of fun. And we appreciate everybody joining us, and be sure to tune in next week. So next Thursday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 Eastern, you can join us. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Olympics, I believe, which are kicking off shortly thereafter next week. So we'll have some cool things on that. I've got some tech sides. So in the meantime, send us questions, comments, whatever you want, share the show. Thanks for joining us. And we will talk to you next week.
Thank you. Stay well, stay safe. Thank you, everybody, for being here.